Welcome to Draft Stack. I'm here with Jordan Ennis. What's going on, man?
Hey, I am finally settled in Africa. So this has been a long process. Finally have internet. So as long as it doesn't go out while we're recording, we should be fine.
Great, great. All right. So, title doesn't necessarily say who we're covering today, but just throw that out there. Would you like to tell the people who we're going to break down today?
Yeah. So we are looking at two prospects. We're going to try to keep our podcast a little shorter now. But so we're looking at two guys. We're looking at Dame Sar, who's going to Duke. And then we're also looking at Andrej Stojakovic, who is now transferring to Illinois, isn't he?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So he's going to be at a different school every year of his college career, apparently. So going into year 3 with a different school. It's interesting. I've been a huge Stojakovic believer for the past couple of years. I had him lottery going into his freshman year. Then he obviously didn't do a super great on his freshman year. But I think I still had an early second round grade on him before he returned. And then this last year, I had a first round grade on him, and then he returned. So I have him in the lottery right now. But I think I'm actually going to end up lower on him. And then I was telling you before we started, I'm a little surprised. I was lower on Sar until we did this deep dive. And so I think I'm ending up going to move. So I had Sar in like my early second round. I think I'm going to end up having them pretty close together by dropping down Stojakovic and pulling up Dame Sar. So
now the funny thing about this is you and I think we talked about this briefly a few weeks ago. I'm much higher on Sar than quite a few people. Mm-hmm. I just think the size he's 6'7", but he's playing
6'8" in shoes. According to Duke, he's 6'8" in shoes. So, and I have no reason looking at it. There's no reason to not believe that.
And so between that and I think he's playing shooting guard. The size gives him some versatility.
Yeah.
And so
I have 2 through 4.
Right. And what I think is interesting about him is, he can create for himself. Mm-hmm. But I think what's interesting most about him is his cuts, especially when you watch him with European play. And so
100% agree.
Now, my question, and we're going to break down both, but we're going to start off a little general here. My question about him is, can he be utilized the same way at Duke? Because that offense is not the same as what he did internationally.
But I think he's going to fit so well at Duke.
Oh, I agree. And they have the point guard play that I believe can get him the same kinds of feeds. He's not going to be the focal because there are a lot of mouths to feed on that team.
However, but I also think not just the point guard. I think Cam is going to love him because Cam is a really underrated passer out of the short roll. And if he cuts while Cam's on a short roll, teams in college are not going to be able to stop that.
And I think we'll see a lot of him screening for him and then rolling.
And I think they could flip who sets the screen depending on where there's a whole lot of really interesting, like he can set the screen, but he can also run pick and roll a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So between having both Bougers and him gives you a whole lot of versatility. And then I think, you have, Caleb Foster and you have, what's his name? Evans, Isaiah Evans on the wings. Like there's everybody but Evans can shoot, pass, and dribble. Evans can shoot. Can't really pass or dribble. Can't really pass or dribble, but he can shoot. So I just really think there's going to be some really interesting offense out of Duke this year. Duke's biggest problem so far, to me, under Shire, is he's terrible about using his big men. He doesn't have any big men to misuse this year. So, unless you want to consider, Cam a big man, but man, Cam's just like a superstar, dude. He's awesome.
So I think to pivot here, so Stojakovic, he has aspects of his dad's play, but very much different.
Mhm.
And
He kind
so
of has all of the aspects of his dad that people forget that his dad had, and he
correct.
doesn't have the thing that, that everyone remembers his dad for.
No. Now, his pacing, the way he gets to the rim, he does play both sides of the ball. You could say
His little floater game.
does look to be a two-way player. One of the things that stuck out to me is his ability to relocate.
Mm-hmm.
So if he doesn't get the shot he wants, he'll pass it and relocate. Now that seems like a simple aspect of basketball. If you don't get what you want, you relocate, you try it again in a different spot. But I think the IQ of where he gets to his spots is really what stood out to me with watching tape on him.
I think his
And that's
footwork
part
is
of,
also like you can tell his dad has worked on his footwork. Like you can
yes.
just
Oh
the
my
way
goodness.
even his shot where he does the thing that his dad did, where he has to like dribble into his shot
Mhm.
instead of just catching and shooting. Um, like it's very much his dad. But I guess we should maybe let's start with him. We'll break down him. Um, Stojakovic, he's a 6'8" wing, just like his dad. Um, So he can play for Serbia or Greece as well, internationally.
Mhm.
Um, so that would be kind of interesting if he could literally swing either way. Right now, it might be good for him to go to Serbia if he wants to play internationally, or he
Yes.
might be able to find. He's also eligible for Team USA too. He's one of those guys who's eligible for a bunch of different teams. My comp for him has been like a taller Marco Bellinelli. The problem is that is dependent on the shot going in at the
Right.
rate it did before college. Because before college, he was a 38% shooter, according to Cerebro. And then since he's been in college, he's a 32% shooter from three. That's a significant drop.
It
And
is.
I'm not 100% sure why. So I've even so I don't have access to Synergy, so I've asked for some help on this. I'm looking into it from some people who do have Synergy. I'm wondering if he's just taking that many more contested shots, because that's one thing I noticed looking at the film, was it seems like his threes are now super contested.
Yes.
And I just wonder if that's something that could fix it. So his per 40 for Synergy if you're taking all of his games, not just in college, he's averaged 18, 6, and 2 with 1 steal and 1 block on 43, 35, 79 shooting.
Mm.
And his free throw shooting was horrible his freshman year, but that
That's
was
a
a
shot.
really small sample size. It was awesome last year. It was 83% last year, or 82% last year. He's got a good shot. I don't
Yes.
think he doesn't have touch. I'm beginning to question if he thinks his shot is as good as his dad's, and that's the problem. Like his shot might not be like he might be a good shooter. He's not his dad. His dad, I believe, still has the Mavs record for threes in a practice, like in a row. It's like 80 something threes in a row, without hitting the rim. Like the Mavs have Klay Thompson currently. They've had Dirk Nowitzki. They've had Luka Doncic. Like Peja has the record, so he's really good.
To put it in perspective. So the thing is, maybe he's thinking too much about the shot, and that might be
Mm-hmm.
the one of the problems. And that happens with young players all the time,
Mm-hmm.
especially if defense does adjust to you. I believe some of that has to do with just overthinking and about how to get that shot off. I did just mention the relocation of him not getting what he wants on shot wise, and then relocating and finding a shot from another angle. He does play the
He's more
angles
willing to do that mid range. It
right.
seems like from three he just wants to shoot it, but in the mid range he'll give it up, get a better shot.
Right. And I think also that's one of the other aspects that I noticed as well is he plays the angles. It's how he gets to the rim. He can handle the ball. I don't think he blows by anybody per se, but he is crafty with the ball enough to get to his spots and get to the rim. He does take quite a few shots at the rim, whether it's a regular floater or taking a regular layup. He does get to the rim, and he does use his size well. So to me, I think one of the things is what with this upcoming year, especially with the roster I think Illinois has. If I remember, there's a couple other people that they've added.
Yeah, I think you have to. Your name has to end in itch for you to play for Illinois this year.
The whole roster.
Yeah, it's like both.
But with that in mind, I think one of the things with him is he's a big guard. So that's kind of the trend right now. That's the way the league has been trending as well. So it's not
Illinois is going to be massive because they're going to play both Ivisic brothers together, and then they're going to play Andrej at like the 2. Like they're going to be massive.
They have size. So, and so what the question here, and we're so far, we just finished one draft. We're already working on prospects for the NCAA season, and then working towards the next one. The thing with him is what's going to get him drafted is A, the shot for sure, and then B, his ability to consistently get to the rim. Now, granted, again, these all sound like simple aspects, but there are prospects who cannot get to the rim on a consistent basis, can't get their shot off on a consistent basis, don't have the creativity handle-wise to do so. So if he's able to manage these things in larger sample size and be able to string games along where I'm not asking for him for like leading the country in scoring, but if he can give some of the 17, I think the stats, did he average more than 5 assists?
No, not 3. I think is what he averaged last year. I didn't write down what he did last year,
which would not be his role, and I don't think will be his role on this Illinois team. So, to me, he's there to score. He's going to play both sides. He does play defense. If anybody watches any tape of Andrej,
he had a 30-point game last year, and he's got those in him. Like it wasn't all freeze. Like he had a 30-point of him like banging in the post, like driving through defenders, getting bumped in the mid-range, beautiful floaters. He does have a very versatile offensive game.
He does, and it's very reminiscent of the kind of guards we currently have. I mean, if you just think of, granted,
Devin Booker-esque.
Right, who's another guy who just movement shooter, definitely can handle the ball. He does a lot of that now in the NBA. So the interesting thing is seeing how much Stojakovic is able to do against better talent.
And that would be I would be shocked if he becomes as good as Devin Booker, but it's that kind of role. Right,
exactly. And so between that, his craftiness around the rim, does have touch, as you mentioned. What do we have his stats on rim percentage?
No, that's another synergy stat that I don't have access to. But it seemed high. And on the tape that I watched, it seems pretty high. I can see if Basketball Reference has it based on distance. I don't think they do though, but I can check to make sure.
I was looking for some of that earlier, and so from what tape I did watch, and obviously finding full games is a difficult task to get to find full games, not just highlight reel. But from what I did see, he does play well. Now, do I think he's going to play tougher competition at Illinois? Absolutely. Will he be able to rise to the occasion and continue to score at a decent clip? The free throw shooting could continue to make that a consistent effort to get the reps up. And then if he's going to finish at the rim as he has.
So I don't have rim shooting, but he did shoot 47.8% from 2-point range. And with as many mid-range shots as he took, he's got to be incredible at the rim. He's really good at he can do some stuff with the ball. He's not just out there chucking up the
right. He is an efficient player, right? Like that's one of the other talking points.
Yeah, even with the 3 being bad, his true shooting was 54%. Which with a bad 3 shot, that's pretty good.
And doing a decent amount of handling the ball, the offense he was recently in.
Yeah, his
So
usage was, since I've
it
got
should
it
be
pulled up,
was it like
27.8. So
I
it's a
thought it was
really
around
high
30.
usage for a wing. That's really high.
Thought it was around 30. So to me, I do think that he is going to impress if he's able to do the things that he does well consistently.
Mhm.
We're not asking, for him to play outside of himself. I don't think any of his teammates are going to either. Um, and the effort's never going to be lost. I don't think I've watched any tape on him that I didn't see effort from him. So,
Mhm.
that's something you want from a player, which is why he's able to enter the transfer portal and end up somewhere where I think you have pretty good teammates and the system. Now, granted, their system is very interesting.
Yep.
Having Kasparis leaving it recently. If
Mhm.
I'm saying the same, I believe that's
Yeah.
yeah,
So to me, I think it's going to be interesting because he fits the mold of Kasparis, but
which is what I was
in
thinking about.
in a way, his strengths and weaknesses are different than Kasparis, and I kind
Mhm.
of think his strengths and weaknesses will actually. I think his strengths will be accentuated more at Illinois than his weaknesses, because like his weaknesses is like foot speed, that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
if you're gonna have 2 7'4" dudes in the paint, it's not gonna look that bad if you get blown by. Like you know,
Or you funnel
so,
them to the rim, right?
yeah. So the times where he is forced to guard, like by being so big, in that lineup, he's going to have to guard some real quick guards that he's just probably not equipped to guard. That he wouldn't be guarding in the NBA even, but
Right.
just based off of their roster, he's probably going to have to guard some of them.
And
And it's just not going to look as bad because they're going to have so much rim protection.
agreed, agreed. And that's probably where I said he does play both sides. He is not a lockdown defender by any means. He is a good team defender. I think he does a good job
Very good team
playing
defender.
within his realm, and I think he uses his size well more than him having excellent. I don't think he has excellent lateral quickness, even though he does have good footwork. I don't think it's excellent lateral quickness, which is a completely different aspect to point out.
My worry with him is I kind of wonder, is he getting everything out of his physical tools? And I kind of think he is. So I'm worried about how much
How much
improvement there
higher?
can be.
Yeah,
Yes.
is the ceiling high enough? And that's going to be the question. Again, that goes back to consistency. If he's able to maximize but continue to consistently maximize them where it's an efficient, useful application of his skill set, that's a completely different conversation to have than him not being able to do it at all.
Yeah.
And there will be questions about floor and ceiling at over time, obviously, as the season plays out. And we'll see whether or not he is the same
Mm-hmm.
scoring wise, or if he tapers off where I think he was at 17.4 and
Something
that
like that.
goes
Yeah.
to like 15. I know that doesn't seem like a big drop off, but that is, a few points off the board.
I'd
So
almost prefer for him to drop to 15 points per game if he could up his 3-point shooting to like 37, 38.
I actually agree with you then. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that because if the percentage can go back to 38%, but he's only averaging 50, those shots are less challenging. They're less
Mm-hmm.
contested. And I think it's more of in the flow of the offense versus having, and he doesn't chuck shots. It's just along the lines of being able to get those shots off with better ease and better sets run. So I think that's one of the things that will be highlighted this upcoming season for him. And where he falls, we've seen, just in this recent draft, guys that you don't expect to go very, very early end up going early, and guys you don't expect to fall completely out of the first round drop completely to the second round, which is nuts. So it is one of those things where the variable says unless, depending on what a team needs, depending on what your play style is like and how efficient you were able to do it at a level that allows you to garner attention. I mean, even if you talk about not just the tourney or the NCAA season, but we talked about the workouts and some
Yeah.
of those scrimmages against your peers and other prospects. that can elevate you and vault you up boards. Where we talked about in the past about returners and things of that nature, who I thought impressed a lot of scouts, impressed a lot of teams, and just decided to go back to college. So he's going to have an interesting route to go, and it'll be intriguing to see if he's able to string them together more. Yeah. And I'm impressed with his game overall, but I would like to see against tougher competition. We'll see what that looks like.
I mean, Illinois, that should be solved. That should be, they're not just playing nobody, and they're going to go to the tournament. So, now that being said, before we move on from him, where do you see him slotting in right now, pre-draft or pre-season for your draft? Like, just a rough estimate.
So I already have 10 guys that I already know are top 10, and that's probably stupid early. Because that whole thing could shuffle.
Well, I mean, I already have like 200 and something, so we're fine. You're fine.
I tend to work through 50 guys within once the previous draft is over. I work through 50 guys, and then I start thinking about what my top 10 is going to be, and I do it at 10.
I just start shifting people over. When they leave the last draft, when they don't declare or when they withdraw. I shift them over.
So this is hard because I would love to say I'll throw a number. I'll say if I had to put him anywhere from I say 22 to 30. 22 to 30.
I think I'm probably a little bit wider of a range. I'm thinking probably 18 to like 40. Somewhere in that range,
which and I'm not mad at that at all. I think that speaks to the talent in this draft, which is interesting because we just finished a draft cycle with talented guys, and quite a few of the talented guys are going to end up in this draft.
But interestingly, we did not have very many people at his position that came out last year, and this class is a little bit deeper at his position, so it is going to be interesting to look at, which is, I guess, a good segue into another guy that plays that same wingish, forwardish role, Dame Sar. Like, dude. He's your dude. So why don't you start with him, man?
Man.
Do you want to read the stats first, and then I'll just let you go for a while?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So his per 40 numbers on Cerebro are 22, 6, and 3, with 2 steals and basically a block. It's like right under a block. On 39, 32, 62 shooting. Now, that being said, this last year he played 18 games. And in the 18 games he played, he shot 45% on 31 threes. Now, if you add the one tournament before that, it drops back down to like 34% because he shot really poorly in the last tournament of the last year. But I do think that there's been some pretty good progression with his shot lately. So
I think so. He gets a lot of his jumpers do come off of assists. Can take shots off the dribble. He has shown the ability to do so. It is not his bread and butter by all intents and purposes.
I will also say I think his shot has changed.
Yes.
If you look at like 2 years ago versus now, because that was one of the reasons why I was lower is I was working off of older film. And so watching some of the newer film, I'm like, ooh, I actually think his shot might be better. So,
and I think also, and I thought that was the case. He plays guard. He played guard at Barcelona. And so, again, this goes back to the trend of the league and size at the 2 spot, at the 1 spot. Small forwards are not necessarily 6'7", 6'6" anymore. In fact, I think they've gotten larger over time. So now the range is from, and I can't even say that because just as an example, Cade Cunningham is 6'8". So the trend of the league is that size. You got size at all positions and guys that are able to play at. So Sar fits right into kind of what the NBA looks like right now. Can play.
The Mavs are going to start 2 centers, 2 power forwards, and a shooting guard. really a small forward.
So
they're starting Klay Thompson at the point guard.
Right.
Like,
so that lets you know where the league is at. So truthfully, at Duke, I am intrigued about his role, what he's going to look like. He's not going to be the focal of attention, as I said. Like, I think some of what he does is going to come off of cuts, come off of running to spots, getting to spots. He does play the dunker well. He gets a lot of points in the dunker. He is extremely athletic off the jump. If you watch any of his tape, he's able to catch the ball and make a decision and go up with it. And he has finished over some guys. So
this is a really little thing, but like from a standstill, like he'll be standing under the basket, catch the ball, and then from a standing dunk, he dunks it on the way up. Like he's still going up while he's dunking it. Like he's very athletic.
And so that in a Duke offense, which was already interesting last year, to now they have an interesting variety of players that do things really well. Cerebral players, if I had to put that out there as well. Very intelligent guys. A lot of these players are intelligent, but just the way that they play the ball and approach, especially with the Boozers and some of the other guys that are on this roster, their offense is going to look so different. Their defense, and this is where I am completely and totally over the moon about Sarr. His defensive prowess and the ability to defend 1, 2, and 3. I do think he has the ability to defend 1, 2, and 3 just because of his size. Granted,
I think eventually he'll guard some fours too.
Right. And I think that says he puts on more strength, a little bit more weight.
Because he has a 7-foot wingspan at 6'8".
And he might not be done growing, which is crazy.
So that's true.
So to be honest with you, he's going to be an interesting prospect to watch where he lands on boards throughout the season, as he strings games along, and also figuring out how teams view him and how other scouts are going to view what his game is like. And also, I think one of the things that will be interesting, especially because he won't have the ball in his hands all the time, is I'm using a Jacob phrase here, but his role is going to be scaled.
Yes.
It's going to be scaled at Duke. A team is going to scale it for him anyway. So is he going to go up boards because of his ability to fit into a scaled role, and teams be impressed by the fact that he didn't have the ball in his hands a lot? He was still effective. He still cut. He still made stops. He can play the passing lanes. He can get out on the break. He does use the 7-foot wingspan really, really well. Don't think he has a high foul rate at all, which is intriguing for a guy his size. And so the challenge here is just him stringing some of the offense together. You talked about the shooting struggling a little bit. He did play in a tough where I think tough competition is, and was a pro. So, some of this is intriguing from that perspective. Also, I wonder what his adjustment will be because, and I think one day you and I will do a pod on this, and you guys look out for that. There is clearly a difference in European basketball and NCAA. A complete, they're same sport, different approach, and there's a difference of feel and expectation in how an offense is going to run, how defenses are played. And so I'm wondering about his adjustment to the NCAA. Is it going to be something where it's easy to him because he played pro already, or is it something where there is a little bit of a learning curve where he does have to make an adjustment, that it is not the same and the play is different, the pacing is different, and also we talked about, and we'll talk about the Boozers a different time, but will he be able to be found in the same spots that he was effective from in Europe? Like that to me is one of the most intriguing aspects of whether or not where he falls on the board. I've seen him already as high as 10, which I'm actually not mad about because people have had him in the second round, which is crazy to me. There are some guys that you and I have talked about where I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I have this guy over him. But however, I'm excited about what I think his season is going to look like. I do think Duke's going to be jumping every time he has the ball. And I do think one of the things that he does do well is make, and I watch, he hasn't done it a bunch, but I think it's an insight to what his IQ for the game is he does make quick touch passes. Like he gets the ball if he sees someone cutting and he makes the read quickly. That making reads especially can be exposed here, especially with you have a point guard and who's going to get you the ball. But then the next step is, can you hockey assist? Are you going to be able to make that next move? So for somebody whose role is going to be scaled down a little bit from what he was in Europe, and granted, he didn't have the ball in his hands all the time there either. But I think he won't be the zero to, this isn't a Cooper Flag situation, right? Like Cooper was basically the offense at Duke. In a lot of cases, in a lot of games.
That's going to be Cam. That's going to be Cam.
And so it'll be something different for him. I do think that the roster is talented around him. I do hope that challenges him still to be the best version of himself he can be. And also, this is something to add that I don't know if it necessarily – I'm wondering about the growth spurt and how much that changes his game a little bit.
I do have one red flag with him. I'm a little worried about his stock percentage for that level of what is supposed to be a defensive prospect. And maybe some of this is like, post-traumatic Omax disorder that I have as a Mavs fan right now. But Omax was supposed to be this big defender. And I even said, like, pre-draft, I was like, hey, I don't think he's that good of a defender because of the stock percentage. Now, the obvious exception to the stock percentage is that Dennis Rodman had very low stock percentages and was an incredible defender. So they are not everything. So that I do want to say that and his are nowhere near as bad as Dennis Rodman's were. But I do worry that for someone who is this physical freak athlete, who is this guy who can do, has this amazing physical profile, seems to try on defense, I'm a little concerned with how low his stock numbers are. It does remind me of another prospect who kind of was like super hyped and had some weird stuff going on with, so not is he going to stay overseas or is he going to go to college, but like, is he going to be in high school or is he going to go to college? It reminds me of Hamidou Diallo.
Got it.
And so that is my worry with him, is like, I think that's the low end for him, is like, is he just that much more athletic than his peers? And so, but to be fair, he looked about right when he played up at Barcelona. So when he actually played with the senior team, he didn't look terrible. He didn't play very many minutes, but you don't unless you're Luka.
Right. And that was the minutes thing. We talked about him a little bit on some of the previous pods. Just the minutes uppage, because I do think he's going to get quite a few minutes just because of the way he plays. Now, granted, this is a world-class athlete, so I'm not talking about his conditioning. I'm just talking about an adjustment in amount of time played and having a better featured role. And granted, it's Barcelona, so I'm not even criticizing him. It's a team that has set guys, players that they're going to play ahead of they would consider still up and coming. So he's going to be somewhere where he's with guys his age, and what will be interesting to me is how much he is able to stand out amongst the amount of talent they do have.
I really think that he should look at what Tyrese Proctor did last year.
I like that.
And try to be that. Be the big guard who, does enough ball handling, but doesn't have to have the ball in his hands all the time. Right.
Can the shooting be real enough for him to do that, though? Because the biggest reason for that, obviously, and we saw that, is because...
Well, he's had that big jump in shooting, so there is hope. And so I really, if that shooting jump is real, we're not talking about a top 10 guy. We're talking about a top 5 guy. If that shooting jump is real.
if he can string that, if he is what we call a three and D kind of guy, and that is just happens to be his role for this particular team, that's still going to get you drafted pretty high.
Oh yeah,
and we've
especially
seen guys,
with his physical tools on top.
Oh man, now I don't want to put any dampers. My only thing is him adding 10 more pounds.
Yeah.
I think he's at 190 or his current physicals.
So.
I would love to see him at 200. Just to add
187 is the number that I had written down.
Okay, so he's trending the direction that I think a player of his size at minimum should be, just because of the role he's going to play, the defense, the physicality, the ability to attack the rim, the ability to make shots at the rim, and the ability to use the athleticism and deal with contact, which there was quite a bit of contact during last NCAA season. It was interesting, the way that things were officiated, but I'm intrigued to see what he does and how he strings the games together. So this is like, we're going to cover quite a few guys, or international and otherwise, that we believe are going to have really standout seasons. And that's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys to put on this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are going to be, NBA
we're basically randomizing guys at this point and just kind of going for it.
Right. And we're trying to deep dive a little bit more into what their games look like, and kind of flesh out a little bit more versus having a much larger list. We're trying to do 2 at the max 3 and cover the guys and see what ways we can talk about their games in an optimal way. And obviously there's a couple of guys that are leaving Europe and coming to the NCAA who played impressive European seasons, were focal points where they were, and are going to make adjustments to the NCAA. Again, those are some of the talking points that we're going to try to nail down, because there is a drastic adjustment. I think in between us covering guys, I think we'll likely talk about the differences between the European game and NCAA, and how that, if it impacts the way guys are drafted, the approach and what their game is like versus where they were and versus what the teams they're in, and how much of that is a rise, can put a cap on their ceiling, unfortunately, and it can also drop the floor. So a lot of this does impact what we cover, and so we're excited to kind of give you guys consistent content. It's been a lot of transitions for us both. But for the 40 of you who hung out with us talking about Andrej Stojakovic and Dame Sarr, we appreciate you guys. We're going to try to get out some more stuff. We're going to try to cover this thing really, really well and give you guys quality. Any last thoughts, Jordan?
No, just follow us on Twitter. Follow us at the Draft Stack. We've got a lot of plans going on. I think we're going to even come up with some other kind of recurring bits and stuff that we can do on here to really help with that. But yeah.
And we got a lot of content coming from our team. They put out, they do really good work. They're very, very, very good and consistent. And the way that they break the game down is brilliant. So definitely check us out. We're on Substack as well, so take a look there. Tons of articles coming out weekly.
We've had some very good articles come out recently.
So give a look over there, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.